Arknights Endfield is finally here, and per my playthrough, things can get a bit more complicated, especially if you're a beginner, because the game seems to be doing something a little bit different from the more popular gacha titles out there. So this will be my beginner guide video that covers the fundamentals of everything in the game to help get you started, but in-depth guides on topics like the combat and the factory system will be explained in separate videos. First, let's cover the info on your screen when you first start the game in the overworld. For those on mouse and keyboard, your units will be displayed on the left and your abilities will be on the right. On the left side, you can cycle through your characters with Q to choose which one should be on the field. And on your right, you can press the number associated with the character position to use your skill. Since last right corresponds to 1 on my keyboard, pressing that number will cast her skill, but if you want to use the character's ultimate, you just have to hold the same button instead. The same applies to those on controller. The characters on the left are arranged in the same position as their skills on the right, but you have to hold your left bumper before you can press the corresponding button like the one on the left to use last right's skill, and you can hold it when her energy is full to cast her ultimate. You cannot freely rebind your keys on controller as you would do on mouse and keyboard, but I think this is something that will be fixed after some time. Now let's cover the info on the character screen. Clicking on operators in the menu will bring you this screen with tons of information. This shows the rarity of the character. We have 6 stars, 5 stars, and 4 stars. Under the rarity, you'll find the character's role that they play in your team building. So for last right, she's a damage dealer and can inflict cryo on enemies, which makes her a good pick for units that needs cryo infliction like Yvonne for example. Keep in mind that just doing elemental damage does not apply the element. You have to read the character's description to figure out which ability inflicts that particular element. So for example, last right can apply 1 stack of cryo with the last stage of her basic attack, also called Final Strike, while her skill is active, which is indicated by this glow on her arm. I'll make an in-depth combat guide explaining all the roles into detail because I don't want to overwhelm you as a beginner, but most of the roles are pretty self-explanatory, like HP treatment being a healer and susceptibility meaning universal debuff that grants damage bonus or damage bonus for all type element or physical damage. Under attributes, you see stats like strength, agility, intellect, and will. This applies to every character in the game, so stats are not convoluted. Strength primarily increases HP, agility increases physical resistance, intellect increases arts or elemental resistance. Keep in mind that arts are the same as element. And finally, will increases the character's healing bonus. But every character has a primary and secondary stat. The primary one is the one in yellow, and the secondary one is the one in white. For last right, strength is her primary stat, and will is her secondary stat. Increasing the primary stat of the character through weapons and other gear like armor and gloves will increase their attack significantly, but the secondary stats will give her a small amount of attack. So the primary stats should be your main focus when building any character on your roster. Under skills, you'll see basic attack, battle skill, or skill for the sake of simplicity, combo skill, and ultimate. Basic attacks are pretty self-explanatory. You just spam your basic attack button until the last stage is completed, but always make sure that the last stage or the final strike hits the enemy because it regenerates a large amount of SP, which are these 3 gauges right here. One is consumed every time you cast the on-field or the off-field character's skill because the game allows you to use all the abilities of your teammate without actually switching to them to use it. Combo skills require specific conditions to trigger them. For example, last right's combo skill requires you to have 3 or more cryo stacks on the enemy, and her skill allows her to apply 1 cryo stack on the enemy with every final strike or the last stage of her basic attack while her skill duration is active. So all I have to do is spam basic attacks until the enemy has 3 cryo stacks, and her combo skill, which is a QTE, will appear on the screen for me to use to do damage. So learning the conditions for every character is basically how you beat the game. If you're not triggering more combo skills, you're not playing the game properly. Ultimate is pretty self-explanatory. Casting it will either do big damage like last right's ultimate or forces the damage dealer to be on the field to spam attacks like Levitain and Yvonne for example. Under skills, you'll see 2 passives for every character, and you can unlock them by heading over to the talent node screen. You can also go there by clicking on any of the skills. Click on the arrow right here, which will bring you to the combat skills page where you can upgrade all your skills. Now click on view talent nodes to see all the passives you can unlock. Some require you to play the character for some time to build trust value before you can unlock them, but others can be unlocked easily with the right materials. If you don't have any material used to upgrade anything in the game, just click on what you're missing and the game will show you exactly where to farm it. The most important upgrade on the talent screen is the level cap right here. In the early game, resources will be very limited, so prioritize unlocking everything up to outfitting level 3 for all your characters, which will allow you to equip gold rarity equipment that improves your damage and supportive capabilities. Weapons. Every weapon has a base attack, a substat that shows you a thumbs up if the stats on the weapon matches your equipped character, a secondary substat, and finally the weapon's passive. Leveling up the weapon will only increase the main stats and the substats, but not the passive, which can only be upgraded by obtaining duplicates, and you can do that at the potential section of the weapon screen. The last thing you need to know about weapons is essence. Essence can be infused into your weapons to boost the substats that you already have. At the moment, I have 52 strength on Last Right's weapon as a substat, but if I try to infuse this essence into the weapon, I'll end up getting 68 strength instead. These are very powerful buffs, so make sure to farm them and get golden ones before you try to beat any endgame content. Essence can be obtained by completing certain missions in the overworld, but the most common way to get them is to farm them with stamina in Energy Alluvium dungeons. All you need to do is go to the main screen, select Operational Manual, head over to Index, and then select Energy Alluvium. Make sure to set it to all regions and click on this icon beside every dungeon to see if you can farm essence that are compatible with your weapons. To prevent wasting stamina, use the Valley Engraving Permit to select 3 main stats and 1 secondary stat that the essence can have. So the essence that will be rewarded after completion will be chosen randomly from the stats that you've selected instead of a much bigger pool of random stats that you can get. You can also upgrade the specific stats on an essence using the Etch Essence feature in the menu. Essentially how this works is that you use another essence to upgrade another essence. The success rate depends on the value of the stats that you want to upgrade. So the higher the stats that you want to upgrade, the lower the chances of success. And the lower the stats that you want to upgrade, the higher chances of success. This is more of an endgame thing, so you don't really have to concern yourself with this as a beginner. All you need to do is equip them on your weapons if you get them from completing missions in the overworld. Gear or equipment. You can equip an armor, glove, and 2 accessories that'll all have defense main stats, 2 stats that belong to intellect, will, strength, agility, and the last one that are usually attack percentage, elemental damage bonuses, or ultimate gain efficiency or energy recharge for the sake of simplicity. You can activate the full piece set if you equip 3 gear of the same type, like the Tidal Surge 3-piece sets for example, just like artifacts and echoes in other popular gacha titles. You can craft these gear using parts that you manufacture from your factory. But I wouldn't worry too much about the gear or equipment in the early game until you reach the Wuling region, where you progress long enough to collect golden gear templates crates which are needed to craft a specific golden gear. The game will walk you through a tutorial to set up your factory and craft everything you need, but I'll make a follow-up guide very soon that goes into detail on how to craft all types of gear that you'll need with the factory system, so that I can keep this video short. But just keep in mind that it's much easier to do than it looks. Exploring the overworld in the first region in the game can feel a bit linear, so chests can be very easy to find. But in subsequent regions, the maps become more open where chests can easily evade you, so try to keep your eyes peeled for chests. The search feature will help you find chests really easily, so don't hesitate to spam it more often. There are certain places where you need to transfer power from one point to another to solve puzzles and obtain chests with the electric pylon, so be sure to craft a lot of them after the in-game tutorial shows you how to craft them directly from your backpack. One last tip for exploration is that you might get stuck in some areas of the first region where you started because you need explosives to blow up rocks in order to progress. And the materials needed to craft those explosives are only found in Valley Pass, which is the subsequent region after the first one. So be sure to mark those spots on the map and come back later when you've crafted explosives at the factory. The last thing left to cover is how to efficiently manage your stamina. Just like most gacha games, your stamina will fully refresh daily, and all you need to do is head over to your operational manual and click on Index. As a beginner, your main goal is to increase your character and weapon level to counter the enemy difficulty as your authority level or world level increases. So spend your stamina on Operator EXP for leveling up your characters, promotions, to get materials to ascend them to a different level, or remove the level cap to proceed with the leveling, and skill up to get materials needed to upgrade your skills. Ignore T-Creds because you get a lot of them by playing events and the story quests. Under weapon progression, spend stamina on Weapon EXP for leveling up the weapon and Weapon Tune to ascend it so that you can proceed with leveling it up as much as possible. Daily activities are very straightforward. Just complete the activities listed here to get your 200 aura barrels daily, which is used to pull on the limited time banner. And that'll be all for my beginner guide for Arknights Endfield. I'll be making regular Endfield content, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of my uploads. Our Discord link will be in the pinned comment if you're having any issues with Endfield or you just want a place to chill or hang out. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.